Okay. Good evening. This meeting is now called to order. This is the Public Safety Committee meeting for June 9th, 2025. I'm the Chair, Councilmember Yolanda McCoy from the 6th District. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. Councilman Spadola. Councilwoman Bracy. Councilwoman Darby. Councilman Johnson. Councilwoman Oliver.
Present.
And President Congo.
Madam Chair, it might be a technical issue.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. Yeah, all right. So I do see that two of my committee members are actually on the virtual. Are you able to get off of mute?
Madam Chair, the sound didn't kick in until you're halfway through roll call, but I hear you now.
Okay, good. All right.
Madam Chair, same.
Okay. All right. So then, Councilman Spadola.
Present.
Okay, and Councilwoman Bracy.
Present.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other council members here? Okay. All right. So, just a friendly reminder that the only members of the committee should be making any motions and seconding. We actually have a full agenda this evening. We have 5 agenda items, 3 ordinances, 2 resolutions, and a presentation. So we're going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to go through our ordinances first, and then our presentation. So ordinance number 25-031 is an ordinance to authorize and approve an agreement between the City of Wilmington and Axon Enterprise, Inc. for a body-worn camera and taser equipment. And who is to speak to this matter?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Oliver, and council members on virtue. The speaker is going to be Dr. David Karras.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of council. Thank you for your time this evening. As you mentioned, Madam Chair, this is an ordinance. We're requesting approval to enter into a 5-year contract with Axon, which will help us continue to provide body-worn camera and taser equipment for all of our police officers. This renewal agreement combines previously separate contracts, one of which was going to expire in October 2025, and the other which will expire in June of 2026. By consolidating these contracts and entering into a fresh 5-year agreement for both pieces of equipment together, will save a little over $10 million over the list price when you look at a single-year contract. So we have budgeted for this in our approved FY26 budget, and the year 1 cost is $573,000, and then years 2 through 5 would be $1.6 million per year. Again, the first year is lower because we are in the middle of current contracts for both pieces of equipment.
All right, thank you. Does any of my council members have any questions or comments about the ordinance? Yes, Councilwoman Oliver.
Sure. You said, as far as the fiscal impact, I couldn't hear what you said, Dr. Karras. Could you repeat about the impact again? I'm sorry.
Of course. So this is, again, a 5-year agreement. The first year, the cost is $573,000. That is in our approved budget for FY26. And then years 2 through 5 are $1,645,000 per year.
Okay, but
Yes, you may follow.
so I guess my question is 355. That's already in the budget. It's just,
Yes, the funding for the fiscal year, we're going to start on July 1st, yes.
Okay. Okay. I didn't hear what you said. Thank you.
Okay. And so just to follow up, this 5-year contract, you state, by combining all the contracts together and doing it for a 5-year contract, we're actually saving $10 million on this equipment.
Yes, we're able to lock in the 5-year rate, which helps to reduce the cost that we'd otherwise see if we were to do individual 1-year contracts.
Okay. All right, was there any other questions? Any other council members? Any members of the public? Okay. Seeing none, I will accept the motion to move this item to the floor.
So move.
Second.
I have moved in second. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so this ordinance will go to the full council on June 18th. We have another ordinance. Let me see. Ordinance 25-030, an ordinance to authorize and approve lease agreement between the City of Wilmington and the Wilmington Housing Authority. Dr. Karras, will you be speaking this as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So this is another 5-year agreement. This one will be with the Wilmington Housing Authority, which will allow us to lease their space located at 400 North Walnut Street, which is just across the street from police headquarters. This facility is becoming available as WHA moves its administrative offices to another location, and it presents a perfect opportunity for us to acquire additional space near our current facility to support some of our operations and training. The lease would run from July 1st of 2025 through June 30th of 2030, and the cost is approximately $150,000 per year. That includes utilities and other costs, including maintenance, and that expense is incorporated into our operating budget.
Okay. All right, thank you. Does any of council have any questions about this ordinance? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Councilman Oliver.
Yes, so we have a 2% increase for each year. Could you explain that? And that's going to be in the operating budget?
Yes, ma'am. So we have the $150,000 adequately budgeted for FY '26, which will begin July 1st, and then in subsequent years, we would budget the 2%, which is fairly standard for what we see with other contracts and agreements, that there's often a 2 or 3% increase each year.
Madam Chair.
Yes, you may follow.
So you're part of the police department. What part of the police department will be moving to the Wilmington House? I was just down there and I saw them moving around. So what part of your police department is moving over there?
So right now, we're looking at trying to use the space for as much training as possible, meetings and other operations. Right now, we do train off-site, and there are frequently seminars, meetings, or other trainers, train-the-trainer events and opportunities that we can bring in, and this will give us additional meeting space to be able to help support that.
I think that's Madam Chair.
Yes, you
I
may.
think that's a good thing because you're right across the street, so.
And if I could add, Madam Chair, some of that is office space for some of our professional staff as well. For example, some of our youth aid workers or employees are right now operating out of offices that are way too small. They're like 4 by 5, very small spaces. Barely can get a desk in there. So this would give us an opportunity to be able to give them an office that resembles an office and not something smaller.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I actually can attest to being in a small office space as well. All right. I did have a question. I didn't know whether or not any of my colleagues still had any other questions or comments.
Madam Chair, Council President.
Okay. Yes, let me also acknowledge that President Congo has joined us. So the question that I had was, you made us aware of what this will cost us on an annual basis, initially with the first year being $150,000. Could you give me an example of like how much you'll actually be saving by using this space rather than all of the combined trying to find spaces for training and conferences or whatever else that you were doing?
I could tell you just from the top of my head that, moving the police academy from our current location, which is at Deltech Wilmington, that meeting space there is, I think it's what, $10,000 a year?
Well, we've been running 2 academies per year, so it's about 25,000, give or take, about 12.5, per academy. So.
Yeah. So that's money that we'll be saving by having the police academy right next door to us in this meeting space in the training room.
Promotional process as well.
And a promotional process. So what we're looking at doing is some of the costs that we have from our promotional process is actually having the promotional process in this building, and that'll prevent us from having to spend the amount of money that we're spending now every 2 years to hold that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Councilman Spadola, you had a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Chief. Were there any conversations about buying the building outright?
I did have a conversation with Director Fitzgerald from the Wilmington Housing Authority. The long-term plan, I believe, for the building is to, I believe, in 5 years to deconstruct it or knock it down and build a tower. That's what I was told. So, yeah, that's the direction that they're going. So, in the meantime, they have moved to a different location, and the opportunity came up for us to lease a space that's right next to our building. In addition to the office space, we're picking up about 39 parking spaces. Right now, some of our employees are parking almost down on Spruce Street and walking up on certain days. give us an ability to be able to park right across the street as well.
Thank you.
All right. Were there any other questions from council?
No, I'd like to make a statement.
Oh, you may.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to thank the chief and the police station for following up on our walkthrough, and y'all have done a tremendous job on the east side, and I appreciate it. So keep up the good work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So there's no other questions from council. Is there any questions or comments from those in the public? All right, seeing none. All right. I said this is an ordinance, and I'd like to move it to the full council floor. Is there a motion to move the ordinance 25-030?
So move.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Is all members in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Are there any opposed? Okay. So this ordinance will be coming before council on the full floor on June 18th. We have another ordinance, but I think I may need to skip over that. I'm waiting for my colleague. Okay. All right. So now I don't know whether or not anyone was anyone from the police department actually speaking toward Councilman Johnson's ordinance at all?
We can speak briefly on it. I have Major Janvier here. She's very familiar with the ordinance.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right then. I said then we have ordinance number 25-032, an ordinance to amend Chapter 40 of the City Code regarding military leave. This, the sponsor of this ordinance is Councilman Johnson, but someone from our Wilmington Police Department is capable of speaking to this matter.
Good evening, Madam
Please
Chair.
introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Major Andrea Janvier. I am a major in the investigative division from Wilmington Police Department.
Okay.
This ordinance is in reference to some military, an MOU that was created of City of Wilmington, HRD, FOP, and then approved by law. It cleans up some writing or some information from the MOU in the city code. We have a number of officers who gratefully serve in the military. Right now, I believe we have 13 currently active in the military reserve. There's 2 officers in particular that have been gone, one over 7 years in a row. And we're just looking forward to move forward. He's expressed that he's going to continue his orders and not come back to the police department, so we're going to separate. This ordinance just gives us an alignment with you, Sarah, alignment with the MOU, and alignment with city code to do so on those rare occasions that the time away exceeds 5 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I was trying to give my colleague some time to get on. Did we ever try to reach out to him to see whether or not he's available? I said, this is an ordinance. I'd rather not move this unless he's given us permission or.
Reach out to him, but
Contact, okay. Yeah, so with that being stated, I do thank you so much for giving us a little bit of an explanation for this. I would rather have Councilman Johnson actually come and give us a bit more information. So I'm gonna.
Chair, if I could, I'm sorry.
Oh yes, Ms. Bassnight.
Thank you. Yeah, if we could come back to this towards the end of the meeting
Yes.
to give Councilman Johnson like the opportunity, because this here does have some time sensitivity to it.
Oh, that is fine. That was actually my intent.
All right, thanks.
No problem. All right, so we're gonna wait on this. Hopefully, he'll be able to join us by the end of this meeting, and then we'll get a chance for him to give us his input on this ordinance. So I thank you very much. I didn't know whether or not you were going to stick around, but right now we're actually going to go to our presentation for the Delaware Police Officer Standards and Training and the Police Accreditation Commissions by Mr. Sean Moriarty.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. May I be excused? I have a meeting next door.
Oh, you may be
I'm
excused.
going to the hearing next door. Thank you.
You may be excused. Okay. Mr. Moriarty,
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Thank you very much for having me. So I appreciate the invitation. So by point of reference, so I retired from the state police and executive staff as a major as well. And very, very blessed to be the executive director of the brand-new Police Officer Standards and Training Commission and the Police Accreditation Commission. So it's post-DPAC is the acronym for that. As we talked earlier, ma'am, whatever you'd like me to go into, I'm happy to do that. But if it's okay with you, I'll just kind of give a brief overview unless you have something specific.
Oh, yes. Actually, when you just said brand new, is the commission brand new or are you brand new?
They're both. So this is the forerunner of this was the Council on Police Training, or COPT, that you may be familiar with.
Okay.
All right. In August of 2023, with the HB 206, the bill that was passed, it removed the Council on Police Training from under the state police, put it under Safety and Homeland Security for the state, and created the brand new Police Officer Standards and Training Commission. The Police Accreditation Commission was already formed, but fell under the post as well.
Okay.
So I have the privilege of working with both of those entities with a small team. For 8 months, it was just me. And now we have a team of 6, inclusive of me, working statewide with all of the chiefs, including your great staff here, and as well up and down the state. For the smallest departments to the largest on not only accreditation, we have a requirement to get every agency accredited by 2028. So that's a very arduous task. And aside from that is certainly what we're focusing on post, which I was asked to be here. So I can give you a brief overview unless you have any pointed questions, ma'am.
Yes, you can give me a brief overview. I did have a question because it was based on, hold up, what was it based? I think I was basing it on what we were doing now when it comes to the women's in police, like accountability and such. But you can, until then, you can actually just kind of give us an overview of what the commission is.
I'll be happy to. Thank you, ma'am. So in essence, and I'll try to do my best to be brief, but also, full of information. So post is enacted. We're responsible for ensuring that we set what the standards are for police officers being hired in our state. Whether they're coming brand new to be a police officer the first time, they're coming from a reciprocity, they're coming from another state and they want to be coming into Delaware, or whether they're a reactivation, which is somewhere where somebody was a police officer, they left the job, and now they'd like to return. So we set the standards for what those hirings are, everything from background investigation to psychological, full medical, physical agility, comprehension. Again, what is the criteria that would prohibit them from possessing a firearm, for example? So those things that tie into bona fide occupational qualifiers for being a police officer in our state. We set those standards. We work with the 4 police academies and the chiefs of putting those officers into the fold to be able to come before the commission. I review those along with my small team, and then we present it to the full commission of 16 members, again, inclusive across the whole state. So we set the hiring standards for what they are, make sure that those chiefs are doing what they're supposed to do for that, give approval for them, and then they start. Thereafter, we set the curriculum. So the curriculum for the training, both initial for all police officers coming into the state, we set that minimum standards and curriculum for that, for all the training that's, again, functioning in the 4 police academies, including, obviously, the city of Wilmington.
I'm sorry, I did have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you talked about the states that are reciprocal states.
Yes, ma'am.
How many states are there that actually are very much aligned with our training and accreditation?
It's a hard, it's a great question, but it's hard to answer that because it doesn't necessarily depend on the state as much as it depends on the officer when they went through an academy and what they covered. We do a actual case by case, literally going from line item to line item of what their training was compared to Delaware's minimum standards in each subject matter to make sure that they meet that minimum threshold. If they don't, there's a threshold of 60% that they have to have. If not, we mandate that they get that training before they could be considered for that. So we hold a pretty high bar with that. We're pretty much on par with the rest of the country, a little bit less than probably what we should be, in my opinion. But we're working on trying to increase those number of hours overall as a total complement for that. Thankfully, most of the academies are exceeding that minimum threshold. So, for example, our minimum threshold is 584 hours total. Add an additional one since it was created, so it's 603 hours when we add an active shooter or alert training and so forth. That's the minimum. The 4 academies are exceeding that, so by hundreds of hours. So that's the great thing about that. We're looking to, and I'm working on those regulations right now to fix those, to bring those up to 2025 standards, a little bit where we are. So that's what that part of it is. So we set the training. They do the initial training, whether that be, again, somebody coming in from another state or somebody that is brand new. We also set what that in-service training is. So in other words, once they go through the academies, they have to maintain that training and so forth. So we set those minimum standards, 16 hours of in-service, not including the less lethal weapon systems, firearms, AED, CPR, the like of those. And then things that are required on the accreditation side of the house were additional to that. Everything from handcuffing techniques and de-escalation training and all that kind of thing. So we watch for their training throughout their entire career to either retire, they resign, or unfortunately if they're terminated. We also hold their certification. So one of the misnomers perhaps that's in our state is that the police departments actually own the certification or the jurisdiction. They don't. The state owns the certification under post. So what happens is if somebody commits an egregious enough offense, the departments investigate that like they would any minor offense. But if it reaches that threshold, is affecting their employment. In other words, let's say that you have somebody that they're not doing the training, they haven't done the training for a long time, case as Major Javier just brought up, or something egregious enough, we hold a hearing, and then they could potentially be decertified from being a police officer. We put that on a national database so other states could see that as well. Just as much as we look at back to the reciprocity question, we review that if anybody's trying to come from another state into ours and they would decertify. So the certification ties in with that throughout their entire career. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Moriarty, I'm sorry. I am getting a lot of information, and I'm like, if you could just slow it down because it's like an elevator pitch right now.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I'm actually, processing everything that you're giving me. And also, I would like to acknowledge that Councilman Johnson is online as well. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
So I can walk you through the specifics of that. Our website, and I know you have a copy of a PowerPoint that we have. Our website, I hope, is more illustrative and gives you, the full council, the committee, time to review if they have any questions. But I can go through those requirements now if you'd like, through the thing. It's a little bit hard, but basically what I'm talking about there. So in terms of a decertification, once again, you're issued a certification, but you have to meet requirements to maintain that certification, of which is the good conduct, of which is mandatory training, and so forth. Once that conduct, if that conduct was breached, we're notified by the police departments, by the chiefs within 5 days of any change of employment, whether it be a resignation, retirement, or termination. And then we look to determine what those causes are for that. If it's something that was a breach of discipline that created that termination, from everything from psychologically unfit, perhaps, to something that they committed a crime, a violation of perhaps Title 11, Title 21 of our codes, or anything that would rise to that level, we set it up for a hearing. 3 members of the 16-member commission reviews that hearing. The chief presents, or the department presents the case before us, just like any other chief in the state. Those 3-member panel reviews it, and they make a determination of whether that certification should be maintained or suspended or revoked. If it's suspended or revoked, it then goes to the full commission at the next regularly quarterly meeting that we have. We have 4 meetings for post. We have 4 meetings a year for the Accreditation Commission. It's a separate commission. There's 12 members there versus 16 on the post side. So what happens then? That case is presented to the full commission, and then a decision is rendered there. Should they agree with the determination of the board, then we move forward with that decertification process that I talked about.
Okay. So for decertification, if you find that you have to continue or finish that process, then that information, will that follow them to, if they decide to go to another police department or try to?
They will not be allowed to go to another police department in the state of Delaware if it was for that kind of reason. Mm-hmm. If it's for, most likely they're going to be placed, well, we're going to place them onto a national it's called the National Decertification Index. It's a national database for every police department across the country. And then those other departments can review that. So for example, we recently had a case, unfortunately, from Dover Police. It went through the whole hearing process. The officer was decertified for egregious conduct. He subsequently applied to a department in Florida. Deputy Sheriff did that inquiries during the background investigation, called to our office, and we affirmed that that in fact was the case, and that prevented that officer from being hired. As one of the factors in it. Obviously, the agency has the authority in the state, the other state looks at that, but it's something to pay attention to because we don't want officers that are getting in trouble in one state and then just moving over to another state or within our state to another department. Right. The whole idea is greater accountability and transparency for all police officers for greater professionalization. And the same carries over to the accreditation side of our house when we look at policies and procedures that are sound, that are evidence-based, just like our training, to make sure that we're having the best police officers that are taking care of our citizens the way they should do and most trained that we can provide to them to accomplish that mission.
Okay. So I do have another question. I didn't know whether anyone else did. But so I wanted to find out exactly how egregious did the whatever the circumstance had to be in order to get to the decertification portion of things?
So the most recent ones we've had were unfortunately, the chief and the deputy chief from the Bethany Beach Police Department. They were both indicted federally for wire fraud, and they entered some type of a plea for that. They have both been administratively decertified. They elected not to have a hearing. We notified them of the process of the hearing, and they elected not to move forward. So that was an administrative decertification for them. Then the most recent. On our webpage, ma'am, there is a whole thing under certifications with a drop-down box. It does list since the enactment of this law. It lists down summaries of those cases that are up there. So in other words, you'll be able to read the full case, ma'am, if you'd like to, on a couple of those that are already on our website.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I think, I know that you probably wanted to go through the rest of this, but I know the one portion that I was talking to my staff person about, I took down a note. I swear I took down a note, Kendra.
Was it the Police Accountability Committee?
Yes, it was.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just trying to figure out how did that go hand in hand with what we're actually trying to do. Yeah, how does it fit with the Wilmington Police Accountability Board?
Yes, ma'am. So also part of HB 206 that created POST also said that mandated in the law that all police agencies must establish a Police Accountability Committee, or a PAC for the acronym, either individually or jointly. So what that means is they've outlined specifically what it is, and I'll quote it. HB 206 provides the purpose is to, quote, provide advice to departments on policy, training, and other issues relating to or affecting the department and the communities served by the department. The intent of the legislation was not to create a citizens review board, of discipline review board, but a more of an advisory board. The composition of that board, that either individually or collectively or jointly with another agency or more, was to provide a diverse group of members that could work almost in a symbiotic relationship with the police chief in the department. So part of the requirement in there is that all members must receive 20 hours of training from the police department on the functions of what the police do and how they do that. And the thought behind that is that it provides the context for citizens to have a greater knowledge of what the police do, so therefore they can correspondingly then engage in constructive dialogue with the chiefs to be able, and the officers to be able to say, did you think about this from our perspective? You know, how can we further help you by understanding both sides of the aisle, so to speak? So we have 37 departments that have already signed on. We have 51 agencies in the state. 37 have completed a PAC. So some have done it, as I mentioned, jointly. Some have done them singularly. The largest PAC for a smaller agency is actually downstate. It's Ocean View, South Bethany, Fenwick, Dewey Beach, Dagsboro, and Selbyville. So they have joined, and they're doing an incredible job, and so are other PACs around the state. So with that, some are doing. State Police, for example, where I came from, has their own, for example. So you have the choice, certainly with the chief, of what you would like to do here. The requirement is that you create one. So, and we are over that deadline. I know that there's been a lot of, because it was anticipated that it would be soon, although the statute doesn't specifically say when that needed to be. The intent was that it needed to be pretty quick, within a year. That was what the reference that I was told that it would be. But you also want to make sure that you do things correctly. And I know the chief is very diligent about doing that and making sure that, the right people in the right seats to help drive that bus forward. And I know that he's been working, and so with his staff, and they do a great job in doing that, and certainly in collaboration, I'm sure, with all of you. So, but yes, so we're moving forward with that, and that's part of what I'm hoping, to have all the agencies on board with that. So we can certainly abide by the law, and I think it's working. From a personal opinion, and being 30 plus years in law enforcement, is that it's needed, it's wanted, and the chiefs are really adapting onto that. So,
all right. So you said that there are 51 agencies, but only 37 of us have a PAC.
that is correct, ma'am.
But now, so even though we are actually trying to get our board together, we are not considered truly having one because we have not gotten our board members yet.
Correct.
Got you.
Yes, ma'am.
When did it turn 1 year old? Because you said it's been
Well,
more
the
than a
law
year.
was August of 2023.
Oh,
We sent a memo out in February 14th, 2024.
Okay.
which guidelines for those membership, the 20 hours of training that's required in law. We gave a little bit of clarification for that. And we also gave the composition or recommendations on the composition of the board, two which are mandated. One has to be somebody adversely, them or their family member has been adversely impacted by the criminal justice system. Another member has to be a religious leader. So, and the others are really up to the chief and whomever to be able to select that board. We recommended that it should be people that are coming from, business aspects, somebody who's, youth. We recommended a variety of that to try to encompass all areas to have a good representation on that board.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you.
yes, ma'am.
If you would like, if there's more information during your slide that you wanted to make certain that we were aware of, please feel free.
Well, I'll point out, not because the chief and the major are here, but it's true, is that when we talk about the accreditation side of the house, we have 11 agencies in our state that are nationally accredited, and Wilmington is. So that's a great tribute. The rest of the states, we're trying to get them at least up to Delaware accreditation standards, and then I'm optimistic that once we get over that we can move towards greater national certification with all ours. So again, very similar to the PAC, our agencies are working together. We're working with the chiefs to try to help them. We established what you already have here, but we established an electronic platform to help with those proofs. So it's an arduous task. We have about 113. We're painting this airplane in flight a little bit, but there's 113 standards that are there. And these chiefs have to make sure that their officers abide by those standards, that the policies are intact. We have 12 model policies that the chiefs of police in the state have adapted. Many of the agencies, particularly the smaller agencies, are following those models and working with those. And then just like we do in the national level, we have assessors that reviews all their policies. They have to provide proofs that they reach those policies, of which goes back to the training component, which comes over on the post side and back. And then also we check those. So we check their files, we check their facilities. Do they meet not only the law, but did they meet the standards of what would be for accreditation? So it's a full course, a lot of work looking to professionalize our police agencies through policies, procedures, and actions, and on the training side as well. So that's the accreditation. So we're working there. We're about 50% right now, getting those agencies through. So, and that's the same deadline. So we're working to try to get to, well, that actually has a specific deadline, I apologize. That's August of 2028. Okay. That we have to do that for the accreditation. But you're already way ahead with national accreditation, which is a great tribute again to the chief and his team.
So, I see that we're CALEA.
Yes, ma'am, that's what it is. That's the Commission for Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. That's the national accreditation body.
Do you need DPAC as well?
Yes, ma'am. We actually call it bridges or crossovers because some things that we require in Delaware are not necessarily required by CALEA. They're very easy to accomplish with progressive departments to do that, but there's things that are very specific and indigenous to Delaware that not necessarily is in the national standards it would look like. So, and then the agencies that cannot meet a CALEA, primarily due to fiduciary issues. It's expensive to have that, even though it's a great entity to have. But secondly, some of the smaller agencies simply just don't have the staffing to be able to do that. It's a lot of work to be able to get it and then to maintain it. So just like we do in the national level, once they are accredited, all agencies have 3 years to be reaccredited, but we look at yearly interviews, so annual intervals to make sure that they are still on target and what those are, particularly with things that require times. In other words, timely performance evaluations, for example, to look at employees. We want to look at that annually, not wait till 3 years. So those things go through on that side of the house for the accreditation.
Okay. All right. I was just looking at this almost final page, and I was seeing that it seems as though you were either one or the other, and I didn't know whether or not were there any who were both, or would they be any that are both?
Oh, no, ma'am. They would not be both.
Okay, gotcha.
They just have, well, yes and no. They still, their DPAC, once they need because there's a crossover, there's a couple of minor things that they need to do to make sure that they're compliant with Delaware law, even though they're nationally accredited. Some things that Delaware accredited, some agencies exceed those expectations, maybe not meet the threshold of a national accreditation, but they do a little better. And so there is a little bit of overlapping, if that makes sense.
I definitely will have to take a closer look at the website and also this meeting, because the initial portion of it, you were going a little fast, but I wanted to make sure that I tried to slow you down and caught as much information as I could. Are any of my colleagues, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Moriarty? Okay, no, okay. All right. And how about anyone from the audience, anyone from the public? Oh, yes. Would you mind coming up to the podium? Yes, and introducing yourself.
My name is Jamie. I'm from the 1st District. So in regards to the 16 hours of in-service career-related training, are any related to community engagement?
It could be.
Okay. Yes, you may have a seat and you have your mic on? Okay.
It certainly could be. It does not require for the in-service to have that. Agency-specific would select it. Many agencies do. A lot of that training also aligns with other training. So, for example, if we're talking about patrol procedures, how officers conduct themselves on traffic stops, our training with that, the expectation obviously is that there's embedded, that we're not looking at silos of training, that we're trying to look at how they interact with other training as well. So in other words, if you're trained on professional interactions with the public, that should carry on with other things that we're training officers to do, from response to resistance to traffic stops to directing traffic and talking to people with that. It becomes part of the nature of the police officer's training. That's the anticipation, that's the hope.
Okay. All right, Mr. Moriarty. Next time, all of the questions actually should be coming to the to the committee. Yes. Did you need to follow up, Ms.?
Yes. Is there a way for that to be transparent for the public, the actual courses that they take? That the police take, sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you're saying the courses that the police officers take for their
Can this
academy?
be more transparent, put on the website, these are the courses we're taking?
It is.
Okay.
Oh, you mean all the courses beyond what's the initial?
All right. So when it comes to everything that's happening outside of the city of Wilmington, I'm not certain. All I know about what's going on in the city of Wilmington. Chief, is there anything that we have that actually states the different types of courses or training that we give our police officers?
Yeah, Madam Chair, we do prepare a curriculum that we present. Is it transparent? We could probably do a better job of it to let the public know what we're teaching our police officers, and I have no problem putting that out there for people to see it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so my next question is.
Okay. I said you still have some more time. Go ahead.
Okay. So in regards to the child abuse, the sex crimes, the domestic violence training, why isn't that mandatory and on a yearly basis?
It's mandatory. It's the legislators have required what that training is. That's why it's there. They said what that is, ma'am. It doesn't mean that the police departments have to stop there.
Mr. Moriarty. All right.
I know, I'm trying to.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to have a conversation. I apologize for, I don't mean to be disrespectful if I appear that way.
So the thing is, this is great that we have Sean Moriarty here, because a lot of these questions, I guess he's able to answer directly to you or for you, because normally we would just have you give us the questions, and if we don't have anyone to answer those questions, we have to get back to you. But if you're here too, if you have the answer, I will allow you to answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Did you have another question?
It was just that. I'll leave it at that.
And did you complete your answer about about that type of training?
And I apologize. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Did I?
Yes, ma'am.
I know. So that was about, I'm sorry, it was about, abuse, child abuse, and things of that
Domestic
nature.
violence.
Yeah, domestic violence.
I didn't see anything about sexual harassment in here, but I'm assuming.
That's included
that's
in
included,
the
okay.
curriculum. Yes, ma'am, that's included.
All right. I said, well, thank you so much for presenting the questions. All right. Thank you, Mr. Moriarty. If there's no one else has anything else to add or to comment or ask, I thank you so much for your presentation. We will be getting back to you though, because I do know that that President Congo and Councilman Johnson, I think that they're really working on trying to make certain that we get the members for this group together.
Great.
And so I look forward to getting a chance to have them present that information and who's been chosen, who's been selected rather.
Yes, ma'am, that would come to me, and I would greatly appreciate that. And thank you, and certainly thank the chief and the major. They always do a great job of keeping us apprised, and we love working with them. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a good evening. All right. So we got a chance to have our presentation. Councilman Johnson he is with us now, and we can actually go to his ordinance. So I'm going to return back to the agenda. The ordinance that that I'm introducing now is ordinance 25-032, an ordinance to amend Chapter 40 of the City Code regarding military leave. Councilman Johnson is the sponsor. Councilman Johnson, I just want to make you aware that Major
Janvier.
Genevieve, I'm so sorry.
Captain.
Yes,
Yes.
I said she gave us a little bit of insight, and I just wanted to hear from you as well.
Yes. So this really is a housekeeping matter that affects the uniform division. Is really getting the city in line with federal law regarding their military leave policy. As you know, many of our law enforcement officers serve their country through military service. It's simply adding just some more guidelines regarding that. I believe it's a 5-year cumulative time period for the leave. Again, to align with federal law, and that's really it. So there is a de minimis fiscal impact. So it's something that really is just that the police department is looking to do. So I don't know if the captain has any more to add to it, or chief on this military leave.
Okay.
No, I think you covered it all, sir. Thank you very much. I will note that after 5 years of being away without the continued hours of training through post, you'd have to complete a whole other academy as well.
Oh, wow. That's actually good to add. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so with that being said, was there any questions about this ordinance? Okay. None from my colleagues, none from council? How about from the public? Does anyone from the public have any questions about the ordinance? It is to amend Chapter 40 of the City Code regarding military leave. Okay, seeing none. All right. As this is an ordinance that needs to be voted out of the committee, if I can please get someone give a motion to move the motion. Move the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, can you signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, so this ordinance will be going to the full council on June 18th. We'll get a chance to vote for it then. Okay, so those are all of the ordinance. I thank you so much, Chief. I thank you so much, Major. So if you had anything else, didn't have anything else, you may be excused. I do still have
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. I do have 2 resolutions that we wanted to discuss. Wanted to see whether or not my colleagues have gotten a chance to join us yet.
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
not yet.
Okay.
I don't think Councilman Owens will be able to join us.
Okay. Are any of these, well, since everything is pretty much time sensitive, and these do not need to be voted out. Where am I at? Okay. So. All right, so because these are resolutions, I'm going to go ahead and just make the, I'm going to just go ahead and follow through and read these resolutions so that they can be voted out by the full council, because we will not be having another public safety hearing this next month. Okay, so the very next one is, what is it? Is a resolution urging the administration to cooperate with Law Enforcement Action Partnership, which is LEAP, to conduct a call for service analysis to inform the city's mental health response strategies. This is by Councilwoman Darby. I do recall, I believe, having a presentation from this organization before, and I think we may have actually had this request as well. So because it is not it does not need to be voted out of council, I just wanted to make certain that I read it and make you aware that it will go before the full council on June 18th. Next, I have another resolution Hey, man, is this on here? I have too many resolutions over here, Kendra.
Do you have it? It's HB 182. HB 182. Councilman.
Okay, I think I had hers twice, I think. That's what it was. Okay, all right, thank you. So I have another resolution. This is actually by Councilman Owens. It is a resolution urging the Delaware General Assembly to support House Bill 182, an act to amend the Title 11 of the Delaware Code relating to law enforcement agency agreements. Okay,
I can read the synopsis if you want me to.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
The
you.
synopsis.
Okay, oh, you, okay. All right. Thank you, okay. So did you want to read it, or you want me to read this? Okay. All right, so the synopsis. The pursuant of the Wilmington City Council 20 to 25 strategic plan, goal of a connected, informed, and engaged Wilmington, this resolution urges the Delaware General Assembly to support House Bill 182, an act to amend Title 11 of the Delaware Code relating to law enforcement agency agreements that prohibits law enforcement agencies from entering into agreements with federal immigration enforcement authorities to enforce immigration violations or share immigration enforcement-related data. Okay, so this is time sensitive, I'm sure. So that's why I wanted to make certain it actually gets before council as quickly as we can. All right, I said, so you know what, can I backtrack? Let me backtrack and do the synopsis for the other one. Thank you for your patience, guys. I'm sorry, residents of Wilmington. All right, so it was the resolution urging the administration to cooperate with Law Enforcement Action Partnership to conduct a call for service analysis to inform the city's mental health response strategies. So that is, Councilwoman Darby is the sponsor, and there's no synopsis.
Is there?
I don't have a synopsis here. Okay. All right. So it's basically she's requesting that the administration and Wilmington Police Department to coordinate with LEAP to provide data necessary to complete call for service analysis, which is the first phase in assessing local demand for community response teams in our city. So that is the other resolution that will be going to the full council on June 18th. I thank you all so much for being engaged and actually staying with us this evening. If I can get anyone to actually make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. This meeting is adjourned. I will see you all on June 18th, full council.
Thank you, everyone.